Okay, welcome back to Armour Up with Man Witness. You're with me, your host, Man Witness, and we're in 365 days of Proverbs. Today is January 29, 2016, and we're doing devotion focus today. So, in keeping with tradition, we'll do a quick recap of what we did yesterday. And yesterday says, "They that forsake the law praise the wicked, but such as keep the law, contend with them." And we were just saying, I think we came to a conclusion of just it's important to decide to stand for righteousness. All right, so today we're going to be doing quite extensive. It might get a little bit deep because going to might get into a little bit of testimony and a little bit of preaching because, like I said, it's towards the end of the month, and so we're going to be moving into more of the ministry now. And as since I had the first month to for reflection and introspect, so I'm going to be moving forward this month. And I thought, and this a lot of things jumped out at me in this psalm, and I said, let's go ahead and take the opportunity to talk a little bit today, maybe. So we're going to look at today verses 7 to 10, 15, verse 18, verse 24, and verse 27. All right, and it says, "The righteous considereth the cause of the poor, but the wicked regardeth it not." And maybe I'll just stop and pause at each one, so that way, because Psalms from verse to verse, it could change the subject sometime. So, "The righteous considereth the cause of the poor, but the wicked regardeth it not." Um, with this, what I was thinking about was the fact that there is a system that plays that keeps the world running. There's a system of seasons that that like kind of keeps the world in a certain check, I guess, that make sure it's never too hot, never too cold. But we go through seasons, and some suggest that it was different before sin, but and let's deal with it as we have it right now. But so right now we go through seasons, so it keeps the planet rather temperate, so and habitable. Um, and also, so we have systems, we have cycles of life that we go through, and we also have systems of life that we use, so to negotiate, like the marketplace, for example, so for us to buy and exchange goods, and so that we could survive and we could live. But what we find happening a lot, and I hope I don't turn out to be one of those conspiracy theories, but what we find out happening a lot is that it seems like you have deliberate systems against other systems, it's not very transparent. Then that it's not very apparent that these systems are at war with each other, but it's getting done through economics and stuff like that, and whatnot. And so actually what I'm thinking about, what I'm talking about, is a little bit more sinister than what we're reading here. "The righteous considereth the cause of the poor, but the wicked regardeth not to know it." It seems a little bit more sinister than what I'm saying here. Because what I'm trying to say is actually what verse 8 is coming at, where it says, "Scornful men bring a city into a snare, but wise men turn it away wrath." Rather, what I'm talking about would rather be more like men who turn their backs on righteousness. More verse 8. And verse 7 seems to be, now that I'm talking about it, verse 7 seems to be more addressing the type of person who would kind of be more nonchalant and act like, and anyways, let's finish my thought. The kind of person that's more nonchalant and is like, well, maybe they're doing something wrong. Maybe something is wrong with why they're poor. I mean, they don't take it to heart what might be going on, what the situation might be. Anyways, the point I'm bringing up with that, because since I am in fact starting a channel and starting a ministry and going to be starting to reach out to people, it makes sense to actually reach out to people and try to get something done. Try to create a situation, create a different situation. So, so here we're saying, verse 9 will help me out. It says, the wise man contendeth with a foolish man, whether he rage. The wise man contendeth, if a wise man contendeth with a foolish man, whether he rage or laugh, there is no rest. Okay, well, so it's not really bringing out my thought, but that was a very good thought. My thought is, we as the younger generation coming up to what's going on here, is like, we could change it. We don't have to continue with the system. We don't have to continue to get involved with what our fathers have decided that they're going to do. If and I know it's a big thing to disobey our fathers, but if they're not obeying the Lord, if they're bloodthirsty, verse 10 says, the bloodthirsty hate the upright, but the just seek their soul. Okay, that's kind of deep also, but that was gonna be the last one before we jump. But what I'm looking at is, it's time, it's time of course, as individuals, I'm not really. And actually, I'm thinking about politics, but politics is something we have to talk about. It seems like I'm learning it's a dirty thing, and it's not something. It really was something I was interested in, but it seems like I've been studying and learning. It seems like it's a dirty thing, and it's something that we should probably avoid if at all possible. You can avoid public office, but where was I going? We're saying that, as for me being what I think is the younger generation of Christians before me, and we need to say, it's not acceptable. It's not acceptable the way our parents have been fighting a cold war, essentially. The systems are fighting a cold war. We heard about this big cold war between America and Russia, in the 80s or whatever, 70s and 80s, or even before that. But there seems to be a cold war amongst people right now. A cold war amongst religion, a cold war amongst the races, And okay, I could understand the Cold War amongst religion, because there's some differences we're just not going to be able to settle. But actually, let's not go there. The point I'm making is that for as verse 9 was it, said, if a wise man contendeth with a foolish man, whether he rage or laugh, there is no rest. As verse 9 suggested, and it is my philosophy that I am trying to reach out to like-minded individuals anyways, because if someone has already planted corrupt seed, or already nurturing a corrupt heart, then there's no need trying to convert that person or trying to work with that person, because they're already bent in a certain direction. Not that they can't be reached, and not that you can't extend love, but trying to have a conversation is just is asking for contention. So go on, verse 15 said, the rod and reproof give wisdom, but a child left to himself bringeth his mother to shame. That right there, I think verse 18, the next verse we're going to look at, is going to help us out. That right there is more looking towards verse 18 is really going to help us out with that. It's more to me like not having a vision, is what I got from that. Here it is, verse 18 says, where there is no vision, the people perish, but he that keepeth the law, happy is he. So that to me was more, like I said, I was looking at introspect. I was thinking of sometimes I raised the Christian, raised in the faith, but sometimes when we stop practicing, when we stop worshiping daily, You know, because through worship, worship is knowing the words of God. You know, or a part of worship is that. Part of worship is studying. So so for me, we come, you study, you know the words of God, and by knowing the words of God, you understand, you become to understand the words of God. You become to start to understand. You start understanding what we want to call it, wisdom, right? So that's how understanding, where understanding comes from. Understanding comes from studying. Then then when wisdom comes upon you, which we know it's a real, it's a live thing, it's an entity. Or the way I understand it, wisdom is the Holy Spirit. When wisdom comes, we're able to understand, we're able to connect with wisdom and receive something from it, from the message that wisdom is bringing. The point being is that sometimes we could be successful, and that's what I'm looking at in verse 15. It says, the rod of reproof giveth wisdom, but a child left to himself bringing his mom to shame. I'm looking at, sometimes we can be successful. Even verse 18, where there is no vision, the people perish, but he that keepeth the law, happy is he. Sometimes we could be successful, but because we don't have a vision, we are wasting ourselves, and we're it's like we're a dog chasing his tail. And I've seen it with myself, and I've seen that it's very possible that you guys could be going through that also, or somebody going through it. So that it's a simple thing of coming back to the law. What are we going to find when we come back to the law? When we come back to the law, the law is like a mirror to our souls. It reflects that we are in fact dirty and we need to change our lives. And that is going to give us purpose right there. Once we start cleaning up our lives, it's almost like, okay, you're putting away a bad habit. Now you need to find something to replace it with, and that's what happens. Is you get a vision. Now in trying to replace that bad habit, you get a vision from the Most High. You get a vision from wisdom, pointing you in, hey, here is something. Here's a good way. Here's a good way for you to walk in. And that's pretty much how I look at it. That came out pretty well. I'm putting this on Facebook for for my friends and my friends and family to check out today. Sorry, it's a little bit wordy today, so let's hurry up and finish it up. The verse 24 says, "Whoso is partner with a thief hateth his own soul. He heareth cursing and bereaveth it not." Again, this month is more about self-reflection. I'm thinking about myself. You guys might be caught up in this right now. I'm thinking about myself when I was out there, and I decided, hey, let me do a hustle. And I was doing a hustle, of course, you need connections. You need to get in with the people who know how it's moving and shaking. And I remember my friend actually connected me with this one dude, right? Or my used to friend. I don't even know where he is. Hey man, if you get to hear this, praise God, people could change. You could change also, my brother. Anyways, my friend hooked me up with a guy, and and when you came in, and my friend kind of told me the guy is shady. So this is why this is all popping out at me. My friend told me the dude is shady. In meeting the guy and moving with the guy for the first week or so, I noticed that the dude is just shady, just kind of off of it. He's kind of loose and wild, but it's like, hey, he has the connections. You need some connections. Let's try this thing. And but anyways, long story short, gave him trust, and it was like, whoso is partner with a thief hateth his own soul. He heareth cursing and bereaveth it not. Is like, we get so trapped in what we're trying to do, in our misdeed in this case, that you don't realize the thief right next to you. You don't realize the problem, the potential problem. So the last verse we're going to look at to close out. "An unjust man is an abomination to the just, and he that is upright in the way is abomination to the wicked." And this I want to use here. I think it's pretty much similar to verse 10. "The bloodthirsty hate the upright, but the just seek his soul." Is what we're looking at here is that understanding again. Let me say it this way and try to end. When we have understanding, then you'll know that sometimes we could try our hardest to not rub people the wrong way. Sometimes we could try our hardest to fit in, and we still get shine. You still feel like people hate on you, like people don't like you. But so this is also why it's important, guys, for you children of God, you Christians who are not studying, who are not practicing, to get back into the word, because it says the wise understand. If we're not studying, we're not wise. We don't remember these things, and sometimes we lose ourselves. Anyways, you're on the job, and because you are who you are, the people see goodness in you and they don't like you. Here verse says, verse 27, and he that is upright is in the way is an abomination to the wicked. These people, they notice good in you and they don't like you. And when we're not anchored in the word to understand wisdom, when these things happen to us, we operate in the wrong dimension, instead of, oh, I sound like one of these guys on TV. Guys, thank you for joining me today. This was Armour Up with Man Witness, and we were in 365 Days of Proverbs. This was Devotion Focus for January 29, 2016. Please like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.